Welcome back, everybody. Today we're going deep, diving into Proverbs chapters 10 through 12.
Yeah, these chapters are packed with little contrasts.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's almost like they're presenting these two paths,
Oh,
one of righteousness and one of wickedness.
okay. I like that too,
Oh,
Cass. But, words like righteousness can sound kind of old-fashioned.
right.
So how would we explain this concept, to somebody today?
Well, I think you could say righteousness is about integrity. It's about making choices that have positive outcomes,
Okay.
not only for yourself, but also for those around you.
So building something good.
Yeah, building something good and lasting.
Okay. And wickedness, I guess, is the opposite then. It's like choices that are destructive,
Yeah.
not only to the person, but to everyone around them.
Exactly. And these chapters use really vivid imagery to bring these concepts to life.
Okay.
Like right away, Proverbs 10.1 contrasts a wise son who brings joy to his father
Right.
versus a foolish son who brings grief to his mother.
Wow. Yeah, that's powerful. And it really makes you think about, the impact that our choices have, not just on us, but on the people we love.
Yeah.
So we got these two paths. Okay, what else stands out to you in these chapters?
Well, one theme that we see throughout is wealth and poverty.
Okay.
But it's not as simple as rich people are good and poor people are bad.
Right.
If you look at Proverbs 10.14, it says, "The rich person's wealth is his fortress. The ruin of the poor is their poverty."
Yeah, that one's always kind of bothered me.
Yeah.
It almost sounds like it's saying wealth equals security and poverty equals doom.
Yeah, it does on the surface.
Yeah.
But when you dig a little deeper, I think what it's trying to say is that our attitude towards wealth is really what shapes our choices and the consequences that come from them.
Okay.
It's asking, are we using our resources to kind of isolate ourselves, to build walls around us?
Yeah.
Or are we using them to connect with other people and build bridges?
I see what you're saying. So it's not about the money itself,
Right.
but the mindset that
Yeah.
it creates.
Exactly.
And that probably ties back to those two paths.
Absolutely. Like in Proverbs 11.4, it says that riches do not benefit in the day of wrath, but righteousness delivers from death.
Okay.
True security comes from living with integrity, not just from how much wealth you can accumulate.
So it's like building a different kind of fortress,
Yeah,
one that's built on principles, not possessions.
exactly.
That's pretty radical.
It is. And, there's a couple other Proverbs in this section that really hit on that same point. Like Proverbs 11.24 says that being generous actually leads to greater abundance, while hoarding leads to poverty.
That's interesting.
It's counterintuitive, right?
Yeah, you would think that holding on to everything would make you more secure,
Right.
but it's suggesting the opposite.
Yeah. And then Proverbs 11.28 says that those who trust in riches will fall, but the righteous will thrive.
So almost like those who cling too tightly to material things
Yeah.
end up losing their grip on what really matters.
Yeah, there's a fragility to that kind of wealth.
I've always thought of Proverbs as offering like practical life advice,
Mm-hmm.
but this is like a whole philosophy of life.
It is.
And it's presented in such a relatable way.
Yeah.
With these vivid images and comparisons.
And it invites us to, look beyond the surface and really think about, what does it mean to live a good and meaningful life?
Okay, so speaking of looking beneath the surface,
Yeah.
another theme that we see in these chapters is the power of words.
Oh, yeah.
And I remember growing up,
Mhm.
being warned about, sharp tongue.
Right.
So what do these chapters have to say about our words?
Well, they explore how our words can be both destructive and life-giving.
Okay.
Proverbs 10.11 says that the words of the righteous are a fountain of life, but the mouth of the wicked conceals violence.
Wow. A fountain of life versus, hidden violence.
Yeah,
That's a powerful contrast.
it is.
It really makes you think about the weight of our words.
Yeah,
So it's not just about, avoiding insults.
Right.
It's about choosing words that build up, encourage, and heal.
exactly. And, also recognizing the danger of using our words to manipulate or deceive other people.
Okay.
Like Proverbs 11.9 warns that the wicked use their words to tear down their neighbors while the righteous use knowledge to rescue them.
That's so relevant for today.
Yeah.
Where, misinformation spreads so quickly.
Right.
It's a reminder to use our words responsibly, to seek truth, and to speak up for what's right.
Yeah.
But are there ever times when it's better to just stay silent?
Oh, absolutely. Proverbs 11.12 reminds us that even a fool is thought-wise if he keeps silent and discerning if he holds his tongue. So sometimes the best thing to do is to just listen and observe.
Yeah. And choose your words carefully.
Yeah.
I've definitely had times where I wish I had just kept my mouth shut.
Me too.
These proverbs really offer some practical wisdom for just navigating everyday life.
They do.
They even touch on things like work ethic diligence, avoiding laziness, which, let's be honest, we all struggle with that sometimes.
Absolutely.
Proverbs 10.4 says that a slack hand causes poverty,
Yeah.
but the hand of the diligent makes rich.
Right.
It's connecting our efforts with the outcomes we create in our lives.
Yeah.
So it's not just about being busy, but about putting in the effort, being intentional with our work.
Yeah.
And this isn't just about money.
Right.
It's about building character and developing a sense of responsibility.
Exactly. These proverbs emphasize diligence as a virtue that leads to success and stability in all areas of life.
Okay, so if you're the kind of person who puts in the effort, who follows through,
Yeah.
it builds trust and creates a foundation for success.
Exactly. And it's not just about personal gain either.
Okay.
Proverbs 12.24 says that the hand of the diligent will rule, but laziness ends in forced labor.
Yeah.
So it's connecting diligence to contributing to a well-functioning society.
So laziness can actually create a burden for other people. It's like if you're not pulling your weight, somebody else has to pick up the slack.
Right. And that can lead to all sorts of problems.
Yeah. Resentment, exploitation, breakdown of community.
Exactly.
Wow. So these proverbs about diligence are about so much more than just getting stuff done.
Yeah.
They're about contributing to something bigger than ourselves, creating a more just and prosperous world.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. That's a lot to think about, and we've only just scratched the surface of these chapters. What else should we dive into today?
Well, there's still a lot more to unpack, including how these proverbs address some of the more challenging aspects of life, like dealing with anger, temptation, even our own flaws.
Oh, okay. So things are about to get real.
Yeah.
All right, listeners, stick with us as we go deeper into the wisdom of Proverbs.
We're going to get personal, relatable, and maybe even a little uncomfortable.
But trust me, it'll be worth it.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're back, and like we said, things are going to get a little bit real.
Yeah, a little more personal.
We're going deep into human nature, those messy emotions and those tricky situations that we all face.
Yeah, and it's interesting to see how these ancient proverbs offer advice for these modern-day challenges.
Yeah, for sure.
Let's start with anger. I mean, we all feel it, but how do we handle it?
Oh, yeah.
Proverbs 12.1 says, "A fool gives full vent to his rage, but a wise man keeps himself under control."
Ooh, I like that one. It acknowledges that anger is a normal human emotion.
Yeah.
But it's the wise person who knows how to manage it.
Right.
And I know I've certainly had moments where I've let anger get the best of me.
We've all been there.
Not my proudest moments.
But these proverbs remind us that we have a choice. We can let our emotions control us, but we can learn to control them.
It's about finding that pause button.
Yeah.
Moment of reflection before we react.
Yeah, and this ties in with another emotion that often fuels anger.
Okay.
Anxiety. Proverbs 12.25 says, "Anxiety weighs down the heart, but a kind word cheered it up."
So cultivating a positive mindset?
Yeah. And surrounding ourselves with supportive people can help us regulate those emotional responses.
Absolutely. It's about building resilience, both internally and in our relationships.
Okay, so we've talked about anger. We've talked about anxiety. What about temptation?
Ooh, yeah.
These chapters seem to have a lot to say about resisting those urges that can lead us astray.
Yeah, they do. Proverbs 10.9 says, "Whoever walks in integrity walks securely, but he who takes crooked paths will be found out."
It's emphasizing that honesty and consistency in our actions are ultimately what leads to success.
Right. It's saying that shortcuts and deceit will ultimately lead to your downfall.
There's this sense of inevitability there.
Yeah.
You can't outrun the consequences of your choices forever.
Yeah, you might be able to fool some people some of the time, but eventually the truth comes out.
Exactly. And it's not just about those big, dramatic betrayals.
Right.
It's also those little temptations that we face every day.
Right, those small compromises.
The seemingly harmless compromises.
Yeah.
That can slowly erode our integrity over time. Exactly. And Proverbs 12.13 says that an evil man is trapped by his sinful talk. A righteous man escapes trouble.
So even our words can have far-reaching consequences. It's about being mindful and considering the impact of our choices.
Yeah.
Even in those small, seemingly insignificant moments.
Yeah, the small everyday choices really reflect our values.
That's a good point. We've talked a lot about righteousness.
Yeah.
But how do these proverbs address the reality that none of us are perfect?
Well, Proverbs 10.12 says, "Hatred stirs up conflict, but love covers all wrongs."
Okay, so it's not about ignoring or excusing wrongdoing, but about approaching it with a spirit of forgiveness.
Yeah, forgiveness and understanding.
And that can be tough sometimes.
It can be incredibly difficult. But you know what?
Yeah.
Holding on to that anger and resentment only makes things worse.
Yeah.
It just keeps that cycle of pain going. Forgiveness offers a path to healing.
And that ties in with Proverbs 12:14, where it says, "From the fruit of his mouth a man is satisfied with good, and the work of a man's hands comes back to him."
It's like what we put out into the world
Yeah.
ultimately comes back to us.
If we want to live in a world filled with kindness and compassion,
Right.
we need to start by cultivating those qualities within ourselves.
And that includes being kind to ourselves.
Yeah.
Proverbs 11:17 reminds us that a man who is kind benefits himself, but a cruel man hurts himself.
That's something I think we forget a lot.
Yeah.
We get so caught up in judging ourselves and others
Yeah.
that we forget about self-compassion.
Yeah, but, we are worthy of love and forgiveness, and it starts with ourselves.
When we cultivate that inner compassion,
Mm,
it ripples outwards and impacts everyone around us.
exactly.
This is making me think about something you said earlier about these proverbs offering a philosophy of life.
Yeah.
It's not just about following the rules, it's about developing a way of being
Yeah, a way of being in the world.
that emphasizes integrity, compassion, and wisdom.
Absolutely. And, it's a journey. It's not a destination.
Right.
We're all constantly learning and growing and striving to live by these principles.
And that brings us to another really important theme that we see in these chapters.
Okay.
Legacy. Legacy. That's a pretty big word. It makes you think about what you leave behind,
It does.
the mark that you make on the world. It can be a little daunting.
It can, yeah.
Yeah.
But I think these proverbs offer a really interesting perspective on legacy.
Okay.
They encourage us to think beyond just, our lifespan
Uh-huh.
and consider the ripple effect of our choices over time.
So not just about, what we accomplish while we're here,
Right.
but the impact that our actions have
Yeah.
on others even after we're gone.
Exactly. Like Proverbs 10:7 says, "The memory of the righteous is a blessing, but the name of the wicked will rot."
So a life well lived,
Mhm.
a life of integrity and kindness leaves behind a positive legacy.
Yeah, like a fragrance that continues.
While a life focused on selfishness and, harming others,
Yeah,
that doesn't have that same lasting impact.
right. It doesn't have that same life-giving quality. And Proverbs 11.3e builds on this. It says, "The fruit of the righteous is a tree of life, and whoever captures souls is wise."
So it's like the righteous leave behind something that continues to give
Mm-hmm.
even across generations.
Yeah, like a tree of life that bears fruit long after the planter is
It
gone.
makes you think about what kind of seeds we're planting.
It does, right?
With our actions, our words, our way of being in the world.
Exactly. Are we planting seeds of kindness, generosity, or are we planting seeds of bitterness and discord?
And this idea of legacy goes beyond just our individual impact too, right?
Right.
Proverbs 11:10 says, "When the righteous prosper, the city rejoices. When the wicked perishes, there are shouts of joy."
Yeah, it's highlighting how interconnected our lives really are.
Yeah.
Our choices affect not just us, but our families, our communities, and even the world as a whole.
So we have a responsibility to build a better world,
Yeah,
to leave it a little brighter than we found it.
absolutely. And that brings us to, I think, one of the most powerful verses in this entire section.
Okay.
Proverbs 12.28. It says, "In the path of righteousness is life, and in its pathway there is no death."
Wow.
Yeah.
What does that even mean?
Yeah.
What does it mean to live a life that really matters?
Right. Is it just about existing,
Yeah.
or is it about something more, something that has a lasting impact?
It's about, the connections that we make, the love that we share,
Yeah.
the difference that we make in the lives of other people. It's about contributing to something bigger than ourselves.
It's about living in a way that leaves a positive mark on the world, a mark that inspires and uplifts even after we're gone. That's the kind of legacy that truly lives on.
I don't know about you, but I'm feeling pretty inspired right now to go out and live a life that leaves behind some good fruit,
Me too.
some seeds of hope and kindness that will just continue to grow.
Yeah, that's the power of these proverbs. They challenge us to think about what truly matters,
Yeah.
to live intentionally,
Mm-hmm.
and try to make a positive difference in the world.
Well said. Thanks for joining me on this deep dive. And to our listeners, we encourage you to explore these chapters for yourselves. What resonates with you? What challenges you? And what inspires you to live a life of purpose and meaning? Until next time, keep diving deep.